Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience.
Back to the drawing board.
Hello and welcome back to Big LEZ'S League. Welcome to the first live version of the drawing board. Obviously, we go through our SuperCoach and NRL Fantasy sides on here. All of our trades going into round 12 or into the current round. This round 12 obviously had a massive round with Magic round. Bit of Magic for myself as well, just quietly, having some decent scores. Obviously, not the best past few weeks for myself, having, the low 600s for fantasy and, just cracking 1,000 for SuperCoach, which was still an improvement from where we were, again, a few weeks ago. But, yeah, really having some solid scores this week. Really happy with how I went, especially for fantasy. A huge improvement, nearly 300-point improvement as well. Obviously, was done a little bit dirty with some of the scores. Daniel Atkinson, I thought that he was worth more than a 27. Sam Hughes, 38. Some of those guys as well. Didn't have a Lomax, which is a bit of a breadwinner for me in my fantasy side. So all things considered, I went quite well in this one. Pushing into next week, it could be the first hold week we have in a long time for NRL Fantasy as well, where we don't make any trades. I've been looking to do this for fantasy for a while, considering we don't have too many trades going into the rest of the year. Myself, the biggest issue that I had with fantasy was always making trades way too early, not saving them, for the back end of the year. It's good now that I've sort of gotten into the habit of starting to save those trades for later on. So fantasy, our last week's score was 892 to be specific, so a massive improvement from where we were. If you guys have been listening on to the Spotify version of this show, you would know that we have been having a little bit of a dark period, obviously. Not having the team that we thought was going to be a really high achiever. Having a few guys that I was really high on coming into the year. Didn't work out how we thought it was going to, and obviously had to make a number of trades. This is the first time where I sit back looking at this fantasy side and go, okay, I can probably last without making any trades going into this week. A guy that I might trade going into next week, depending on how the side looks, and particularly after Origin, it might be a time to trade this guy. Kulakefu Fina-Fuiaki. I love him. We are getting these 28, 29, 30 scores, which just aren't the best with how my team is travelling at the moment. I mean, we've had some high scores on the weekend. We had Jacob Kiraz get 62, KO Week 64, Dominic Young, a new trade coming into this side, obviously getting 63. Nico Hines, 70. I'm so spewing that I didn't captain him. Reid Marnie coming in as well. That's new, 54. We've had some pretty solid scores. He's been consistently getting around the 20s to 30, so maybe wait till after Origin to trade out of Kulakefu Fina-Fuiaki. But, I mean, during the Origin period, you'd imagine that there are a few players out of that Cowboy side out. Your Ruben Cotter's obviously a main one. Obviously, Tom Dearden will definitely be out now for that Origin period with Cameron Munster out. There's going to be a few pieces, or a few guys, I should say, coming out of this Cowboys outfit. I imagine that Kulakefu Fina-Fuiaki, he could get a few minutes and maybe even a bit of a middle hybrid role for him, where he comes on maybe off the bench into the middle and then goes to the edge to finish the game. You're probably going to get some more minutes from a guy like him. So, at 466K, maybe it is a little bit expensive, but, during the Origin period, if you already have him, I would hold him, even if it is just on your bench. I think that he could work out well for you later on into this season, or at least over the next few weeks while we do have Origin football on. So it is a hold week for myself for NRL Fantasy. Obviously, if you don't like listening to my rambling, the post will come out today, or already has come out today, by the time that you see this YouTube video as well, so you can go and have a look at all the trades that I make going into this week and the scores from the previous week as well. Now, let's touch on SuperCoach, because this is where it gets interesting. This is where the trades will start to come in. Now, still a pretty decent week on my standards for SuperCoach. 1,189 was the score. Again, we've had some really rough weeks. Consistently winning a few of my leagues now as well, which is nice. But just cracking 1,000 and then, going well over 1,000 as well now has been really nice. Again, we sort of want to start to get into that 1,200 sort of range and stay in there. But it is going to be hard during the Origin period. You imagine that Nico Hines, for me, is going to be out. I've got Nico Hines and Matt Burton as my 1-2 punch for my halves, which is going to be very interesting, because that could be the halves pairing for Origin, which means one or two of those guys we'll have to go, over the next 2 weeks. That's going to be a tough call for me to make. Dylan Brown and Lockie Galvin in my side. I was really happy to have both of these guys in this week. Lockie Galvin, I didn't get a score from him. Obviously got 79, which was more than what Dylan Brown got, which was just absolutely insane. But he's going to be a guy that's going to really save me over the next few weeks for Origin. I'll have him as a reserve. Nico Hines could go to the bench. Matt Burton starting. Again, it depends on who they want to go with at 6. For that blue side as well. I've got Burton and Hines at the moment, so I think I will have to make a tough call later on. Adam Fanor-Blake, it's a bit of an interesting one. Obviously, 37 scoreline. He's had 2 low scores, I believe, over the past 2 weeks. Or, in a 4-week period, there have been 2 weeks where he has had some low scores. So that might be a one to watch. I don't think I'm trading him anytime soon. Same with Taylan May. I mean, unless he gets picked for Origin, I'm probably going to keep him, even if there are some of these low scores. He is a guy that is quite cheap compared to a lot of the other top-tier forwards that you are going to get in SuperCoach. Ruben Garrick really came off for me, and obviously we spoke about if we were going to trade him or keep him in the side too going into the next few weeks. But 101 was his final score. Great to see for SuperCoach. Farlongo, as my reserve fullback, brought him in this week or last week, obviously. Wasn't the best move in that particular week, but it has really paid dividends for me. Got a 90 scoreline. We had a really solid week. The only criticism I'd have for this week was Jamin Salmon. He didn't play. Obviously, we did have him in the reserve jersey. We could have chucked in Lockie Galvin. Unfortunately, that Bulldogs game was right at the start of the week, so I didn't have enough time to make that change. But all in all, a great scoreline for myself. Really happy with how the SuperCoach side is going at the moment. And obviously, again, it's just going to be about how we work through these next few weeks with the Origin period being so close. In terms of the trades this week, we're only going to make one, and that one is Taylan May. Now, obviously, there's been an off-field situation which has seen him be stood down at the moment, at this current time. Obviously, he won't be playing much football over the next few weeks. He will be coming out of my SuperCoach side. And the great thing about this show, if this is the first time that you've watched, is, a lot of other SuperCoach and fantasy sides, they do their trades already, and then they tell you about them on the show and why they do it. What we do here on the drawing board is we make the trades live. We go through each of the players that we can get and obviously make a decision live on the show. We make the trades live on the show, and obviously if there's any late mail or if I do change my mind or procrastinate leading into the round, we obviously do a late mail podcast as well, which is just the audio version. But I guess the great thing about what we do here on the drawing board is actually go through all the players that we can select. Yes, it takes a little bit longer, but I think that it is just so good to just do it raw. So trading out Taylan May this week, we had 39K, a little bit extra in the bank. So we have 473.1K to spend on a centre. We want to go to the filter section of SuperCoach and go to players I can afford. Who can we grab in? So in terms of average, we want to go and filter this by average. We've got Daniel Armstrong already. He was outstanding on the weekend. I'm definitely keeping him in my side. For fantasy, it might be a guy that maybe a bit of late mail. He comes into my fantasy side at some stage, but I'm happy with the guys I've got at the moment. As I said, I want to save those trades till later in the season. Let's have a look here. Josiah Karapani obviously only played the one game, and we don't know how long he's going to stay in this side for. But yeah, look, he had a great game on the weekend. The 68 average, don't get fooled by that. It was one game. James Schiller's not playing first grade at the moment. Ali Leatua, again, he's probably not going to be in this side for too much longer. 238K, yeah, he's probably good to have someone as backup. But I don't need backup at the moment. I need someone that is going to be playing consistent minutes. What we could end up doing here for SuperCoach as well as I look through my side, and obviously depending on how long Jamin Salmon has his injury for, obviously hospitalised during the week, we might have to trade Salmon as well and just have a little bit extra so we get 2 guys. Maybe we do go for Ali Leatua and then obviously get another centre in. I'm just going to go for the one at the moment, but if we do get to that stage, we'll do it. Blaze Talangi, 58.7 average at the moment. Got 102 on the weekend during the Origin period, and with Gutho going to be, since Gutho is going to be out for the next few weeks, he might be a guy that we bring in. Obviously, Team List Tuesday hasn't happened yet either. This show comes out around that sort of time, but we're recording this on the Monday, so we haven't seen the team list yet, or they haven't come out yet. But, I imagine he's going to be in the side over the next few weeks. He's definitely one I'm looking at. And again, we could even just use him as backup and bring Armstrong into the starting side. Who else have we got here? It starts to get a bit grim. I mean, Asu Kapoa, 54 average. I'm not too keen on Asu Kapoa because he can be in the side one week and then not in the side the next week, and he does play off the bench usually as well. So I don't know about him. With Bateman and Isaiah Papali'i out for the next few weeks, I'd probably wait one more week just to see if he does come into that starting side, and maybe we do see Alex Seyfarth take a roll up on the bench. Viliami Vaila, he's had a really good past few weeks, and his potential is just sky high. You'd imagine he'd be the centre for the rest of the year, depending on how this Tom Chester injury goes. I believe he's done his ACL, so he's going to probably be out anyway. But Viliami Vaila, really high potential, 399k. It does leave us with a bit of leeway and a bit of extra cash to spend the following week. I don't mind that either. That's one that I'm going to be looking at. Ethan Strange, bringing him back into the team. He had a great game on the weekend, but only has the 51 average. We've seen some games, and the reason we traded him for SuperCoach was because we did get some really low floors from him, around the 30s, stuff like that, and he was in the starting side. So I don't know about him. Olam's going to miss the next few weeks with suspension. Who else can we grab in here? Simi Sasagi isn't playing first grade at the moment. Jack Whiten, he has ruled himself out for Origin, so it does entice me a little bit. 49 average, got 60 on the weekend. He puts in 110%, but again, it is quite a low floor for him. It does get a bit grim going down the rest of the list. CSF Talakai, who is getting around 48, doing some great work off the bench, playing some decent minutes. And then we get to that Taylan May scoreline. We do have the opportunity to go for someone a little bit more expensive. I'm pretty stuck between Blaze Talangi and obviously Viliami Vaila. I'm probably going to go for Blaze Talangi and bring him in this week. I really like him and his potential. It leaves us with 63.1k, so it's a little bit more of a leeway if we want to do some trades over the next few weeks. It will also leave us with 27 trades, so we really need to start to be careful now going into the next few weeks. I think we're even worse for NRL Fantasy, so for trades over the next few weeks, it might be a few boring shows. We don't make too many trades, but this one's going to be made for sure. We can't do anything about the Taylan May situation. We've got to get him out of our sides. And as I said, getting someone for a little bit less, it does leave us with a bit of extra leeway in our side. So, Taylan May, coming out of the side, we do bring in Blaze Talangi, as I just spit all over my laptop screen, which is just beautiful. But, Blaze Talangi comes in this week. Super excited about it. I think he is going to get a good scoreline here again for Parramatta. He has been great. His defensive efforts, just the way he plays his football, his footwork is so, so good. And he's definitely a player of the future that I am really enjoying watching at the moment. So Blaze Talangi, complete the trade. He is in our side. Now, a mistake that we made last week that I seriously regret for both Fantasy and SuperCoach was not captaining Nicho Hynes. So Nicho Hynes is going to be my captain. Angus Crichton's going to be the vice at the moment. And I'm going to keep it like that. Tallis Duncan got 56 on the weekend. That was a great trade by us. He wasn't playing, obviously. Jamin Salmon, he's going to come off the reserves list, off the bench, I should say. Lockie Galvin comes in. I'm going to wait one more week with Tallis Duncan. We're getting some pretty decent scores. David Armstrong, the Knights have the bye. So let's take him off the reserves list. We'll put in Tallis Duncan this week. I have a good feeling, and obviously we'll find out by Team List Tuesday, that Tallis Duncan will be the 13 for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I imagine that he'll get that spot, so we will have to wait and see. Any other changes here? You know what? I might even go for Dylan Brown as the vice, now that I procrastinate on my decision there. Blaze Talangi comes into the starting side. Our bench players are Farlongo, Lockie Galvin, Matt Burton, and Tallis Duncan. I'm waiting on Scotty Drinkwater. Now, I've heard a lot of creators come out and say, you got to wait on Scotty Drinkwater, And I've waited on Scotty Drinkwater, and he's still around the 70 mark. I am going to wait a few more weeks, particularly around this Origin period. Some of your better fullbacks are going to be out, your Dylan Edwards and your James Tedesco's. It's going to be one or the other with those guys. You've got Pappy injured. You've got Reece Walsh playing Origin. A lot of your good fullbacks are injured as well. So I am going to wait on Scotty Drinkwater. I don't want to make a big call and get someone in that isn't as good. And then obviously Scotty Drinkwater goes on a bit of a tear around the Origin period. I'm going to keep Scotty Drinkwater in there, 722k. I will wait. If that price starts going down, we might make a change. But hold Scott Drinkwater at the moment. I think that this scoreline could go up with the draw that he's got over the next few weeks. There you go, guys. That is the drawing board. Those are my changes for SuperCoach and NRL Fantasy going into round 12. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want any more of this content. Obviously, very happy to start doing this on YouTube, and just wanted to get this underway for quite a while, but so happy to do it. We will have a guest potentially next week. Hopefully he comes in next week. Not going to tell you who it is. I'll leave it as a surprise, but it was very crook after Magic Rounder. That's the only reason he isn't sitting over there in the chair next to me. So yeah, like and subscribe. Follow the Instagram, @BigLez'S_. Make sure to go follow BTFU as well. We've got some great shows on there. I'm hosting a show with Rennie Matua and Darcy Lussick, 2 ex-footballers. We talk about all of the goss around the NRL over, each week, and obviously do our tips and stuff presented by CrossBet. So make sure you go ahead and give that a follow as well. And I will see you guys in the next one.